So I'm trying to develop better stories, more complete stories that we can share with people so they understand this from the beginning to the end, and that there is some things that we can do about it. And one of those is what's in front of you right now. So to make this demo work, if you'll just pick up a piece of the candy, this Hershey's candy, hold that. And so I need half of you. So let's say if your last name begins with A through L, just go ahead and put it about arm's length away from where you are right now. And the rest of you, put it right in front of you. Now, you don't have to hold it there. You can drop it if you want to. But what I want to represent is that some of you have it really close and some of you have it farther away. This represents a drug. All right. This drug matches some of the magnets in the room. So if you look at the color of the wrapper, it'll match some of the magnets around you. Now, here's the first thing to know about the substance abuse problem. Some of you start off closer to the magnet that is your problem drug, and some of you start off farther away. So if you look around, some of you are real close to it, you're real close to it, you match the yellow. What's your color of your wrapper? It's yellow as well, and you're farther away from that. So the first risk factor to understand is genetics. Some of us just start off more susceptible to having a substance abuse problem than other people do. And it isn't your fault. It isn't something you can do much about. You can't change your DNA. You can't change the way your brain's already been built. But that's just the facts. You started off closer to having a problem with your drug. And what's that problem mean exactly? Well, once you take that drug, this magnet pulls on you. And it pulls on you mentally and invisibly, but it pulls on you. It wants you to be closer and closer to it. It wants you to take more and more of this drug. Now, this drug, unfortunately, tastes good. It feels good, right? So what does that look like when a drug is pulling on you? Put your arm out here just a second. Let me grab it like this. So the first time she pulls that drug, it's not pulling on her real hard, but there's a tiny bit of a tug right there, and it wants you to try it again. Every time she takes that drug, it's going to pull a little harder like a real magnet does. As you get closer and closer to it, it pulls harder and harder on you until one day, maybe you're addicted to it. Maybe you can't think of doing anything else. Now, let's pretend that you don't want to be addicted to this drug. So let's say you want to reach over there for something. Go ahead. Now, it's going to be very hard if she's already got a strong pull on her, right? If that magnet's already got a strong pull, she can't even pull away without using all of the will she has, all of the self-control she has to tug away from this magnet. Now, you can do it, but you have to pull really hard, right? Mm-hmm. And how long are you going to be able to do that?
Not very long.
Not very long, right? After a while, that magnet's pull is still going to be there, and it just takes a momentary relapse, and it's just going to pull it back. It's going to make it harder on her again. Sorry, you can put that down.
No, it's good. That was good exercise.
Yeah. So this isn't the way it looks in real life, of course. It's invisible. It's an invisible magnet that matches the drug that you've taken already. So what are some of the risk factors that we can explore? Why do people have this problem? As I said, one of them is just genetics. Some of you start closer and some of you start farther away. Another one, however, is availability in the environment. So some of you started with the candy farther away. I asked you to put it at arm's length. But some of you started with the candy right in front of you. If your environment puts that candy right in front of you, it's a lot harder not to try that candy and try it again and again, versus someone else who's lucky enough that their environment put the candy farther away. It's harder for them to even have that first try because it's just not in their environment. Nobody they know might be doing it. None of their friends might be doing it. Their parents might not be doing it. But for some of us, that's not the case. It's right there. How do we not find ourselves susceptible to that magnet? So that's the second risk factor, is the environment, access, availability. And I want to tell you again, it's not your fault. None of us choose to have this addictive drug sitting right in front of us, given to us by people that we know. And yet, it's there for some of us. A third risk factor is the social environment we find ourselves in. So I'm standing here next to Karen saying, try it, go ahead. Man, it tastes good, you'll like it. And you may have heard there could be problems with it, but you know what? If you do it in moderation, it's going to be fine, right? Nobody gets fat by just trying one piece of candy, right? There's no harm with one piece of candy. And of course, she tries it. and immediately the magnets start pulling on her. Subtly at first, a little bit at first, but then she tries it again, tries it again. So we need resistance skills. We need to be able to say no to that offer, either from peers or just the environment in general. And so a lot of our school programs teach that. They spend a lot of time on resistance skills. But I have to tell you, it has a lot to do with your environment as well. I didn't grow up around any drugs. How much credit can I take for not having issues with substance abuse if nobody I knew, none of my friends, not my parents, I never even saw a drug in high school or college? Do I get credit for the resistance skills that I had? I didn't need much resistance skills. But the scary part today is it's everywhere. It's every college, it's every high school. It's in every kid's environment. Every kid needs resistance skills more than I ever had to have before. So that's part of the danger we're facing right now.